Hi everyone. In this session, we are going to compare about IC engine and electric vehicles.
Okay, so in this video we are going to discuss about the major comparison of IC engine with the conventional IC engine with the electrical vehicles. Okay, so before going into the session, let us recap the previous session. So this whole video we are going to approach in a DT manner. So before going into the major topic, let us recap the things that you have seen so far. Yes, recap.
Hello everyone, I am here to recap the last session. In the last session, we see the introduction of EV. First, what is EV, where it start, and advantage of EV, what pros it have and what cons it have, and some architecture of EV, and some basic things or basic components included in EV.
Yes. So last class we had discussed about the introduction part of EVs, right? So what is an EV, why EV is required, and what is the market impact of EV, different types of EVs that has been in the market. So that all things we have discussed in the previous session, right? So let us dive into today's topic. So as I said earlier, we are going to approach it in a DT manner, okay? So first the empathy will be shared by Janagaram. Yes, you can share.
So empathy was about your knowledge about EVs and the IC engines. To compare that about more knowledge about the EV vehicles. Basically, the EV vehicles not a scope at all. So we want to scope that to compare the EV vehicles and IC vehicles.
Yes. So in India, we doesn't have a good knowledge about EV. So a better comparison will make people to understand what are the salient features of EV when we compare to the IC engine. Yes, you can say the different part.
Hi guys, myself Janagiram. Today I am going to topic in define the IC engine versus electrical vehicles. First of all, electrical vehicles is introduced by to control the pollution compared to IC engines. The IC engines was only run by engine. Then the electrical vehicle was used the battery and the electrical motors. Compared to weight, IC engine compared to weight was very decreased to electrical engine.
Yes,
electrical
you can share the.
Compared to IC and electric vehicle, IC engine has more emission and fuel cost higher, and mileage was less, and electric vehicle has higher kilometer range and low cost fuel. In electric vehicle, more hybrid vehicles are developing. So that is electric vehicle is more useful.
So when we compare the IC engine with the electric vehicle, we can say that the purchasing cost of EV is high when we compare to the IC engine. So this is because that normally the raw materials that has been used for the EVs, which we usually export from the other countries. So for that reason, the initial cost of the EV is normally high when we compare to the IC engine. If India is starting or it is making to make this particular products in India, we can certainly reduce the initial cost. Okay. So comparing to the IC engine, the operating cost is very much less for EV when we compare to the IC engine. Okay, so this is because that if in case of IC engine we use petrol or diesel, but here it is not the case. We only if we charge we can travel up to a range of 400 kilometers, etc. Right? So comparing to the IC engine, the operating cost is very less. So the only thing and the problem is the initial cost. So if Indian government takes step in order to promote many startups related to this EV, we can certainly reduce the initial cost of the vehicle, and including that it drastically reduces the pollution, right? In IC engine we have many pollutants like carbon monoxide, NOx and hydrocarbons, but this EV drastically reduces. Even though the current has been produced in thermal power plants, it has contributed to some amount of extent for reducing the pollution. In near future, if we use the renewable energy, we can certainly reduce the pollution also. So if anyone need to share any points, you can share.
So even hybrid vehicles also booming in a world. Compared to hybrid also need a fuel. So compared to the IC and hybrid, we can choose an electric vehicle instead of those. And in the current scenario, even some vehicles are giving 200 to 400 kilometer mileage also in a EV. So we can choose a electric. Government also providing lot of funds to buy EVs. So yeah, EV is the best choice for all.
Yes, you can summarize the session.
So in this class we have seen about the comparison of IC engine and electric vehicle. In the session we learned about the what are the impacts we facing in the automobile industries and the advantages and disadvantages of these IC engine and electric vehicles and the applications and the impacts and some new knowledges we are learning about in this section.
So that's all about this today's session. Thank you.
Thank you.